In a culture where a man's entire brand is built on the illusion of invincible wealth, one leaked hotel tape can turn a self-proclaimed billionaire into a punchline within a single sunrise, and that is exactly what just happened to Rick Ross. 50 Cent did not release a diss track. He did not tweet a screenshot. He walked into a live stream at 1:45 in the morning, poured a glass of champagne, and pressed play on a piece of 4K surveillance footage so devastating that hip-hop, boxing, and half of corporate Las Vegas woke up to a smoking crater where William Robert Smith used to stand. Hear this carefully, because what you are about to sit through is not a rumor. This is not a blog post. This is a time-stamped, high-definition, security camera recording of the self-anointed biggest boss in the game literally begging Floyd Mayweather to write a multi-million-dollar check to secretly bulk buy his own flopping album. And 50 Cent has the whole hour of it sitting on an encrypted server with a live 24-hour countdown timer ticking down to a nuclear release. Stay welded to this video until the final second, because the leaked tape is only the opening move. The backstage brawls in Miami, the emergency federal filing dropped by Floyd Mayweather's litigation team, and the second 60-minute reel that 50 Cent is holding hostage like a hand grenade are going to change the way you look at every artist you ever believed was untouchable. This is not a feud anymore. This is an 8-figure extinction event, and every insider in Las Vegas is bracing for the next 24 hours to blow the roof off the industry. Step back and look at the toxic triangle behind this leak, because none of what dropped last night makes sense until you understand the 15-year war connecting Curtis Jackson, Floyd Mayweather, and Rick Ross. For a decade and a half, 50 Cent has been the undisputed heavyweight of internet warfare, a man who has built an entire second career out of surgically dismantling the mythology of anyone dumb enough to cross him. Since the day their beef ignited in 2009, 50 Cent has been methodically chipping away at Rick Ross piece by piece, and the biggest boss costume Rick Ross wore for so long has been coming loose at the seams for years. Rick Ross painted the picture. Private jets, 100-room estates, cartel money, Maybach Music Group as a fortress of Southern hip-hop dominance. But strip the noise away from the mythology, and the reality was already in freefall long before this tape surfaced. The industry moved. Streaming ate physical sales alive. Distribution partners started ghosting legacy artists. And inside the walls of MMG, the numbers began to look like the numbers of a company on life support. Insiders whispered that Rick Ross's most recent studio releases were moving fewer than 8,000 pure units in a first week, an absolute catastrophic collapse for a man who used to open every song by bragging about the size of his bank. Endorsement executives started reviewing contracts. Distribution reps started muttering about frozen promo budgets. Rick Ross was staring at the barrel of a corporate demotion, and if his album charted below 10,000 units, the entire empire was going to hemorrhage sponsors overnight. Meanwhile, out on the other side of the triangle, 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather had their own carnage-filled history. Once inseparable business partners who flashed millions in cash together across Las Vegas and New York, the two men detonated in 2012 over a multi-million-dollar money dispute that birthed one of the most poisonous long-running feuds in modern sports entertainment. 50 Cent mocked Floyd's reading. Floyd mocked 50 Cent's television projects. And yet, out of everybody in Floyd Mayweather's world, one thing has stayed constant. Floyd has been quietly hunting for urban music assets and entertainment infrastructure to plug his ring money into. Private listening sessions. Backdoor pitches. Emergency investment offers from artists staring down commercial doom. Floyd has become the last resort ATM for stars who cannot admit publicly that they are drowning. Which is exactly why Rick Ross made the phone call. Facing a catastrophic first-week flop that could shatter the brand, dry up the sponsor money, and hand 50 Cent the biggest trolling opportunity of his entire career, Rick Ross set his ego on fire, boarded a flight to Las Vegas, and walked into Floyd Mayweather's private VIP suite with one desperate ask on his lips. Buy the album. Not one copy. Not 100 copies. 200,000 copies. Run the whole transaction through the money team's private marketing syndicate. Artificially rescue the chart position. Deceive Billboard. Preserve the illusion. And most importantly, do it before 50 Cent found out. What Rick Ross never anticipated is that every square inch of that private Las Vegas hotel suite was being monitored by high-definition 4K surveillance rigs bolted into the ceiling. And what he never, ever imagined is that 50 Cent has spent years quietly building an intelligence network across the Vegas hospitality corridor that would make a federal task force look like amateurs. 50 Cent got the tape. He watched it. He waited. And he chose the exact moment of Rick Ross's maximum vulnerability to press the button. The detonation went live at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 50 Cent launched an unscheduled encrypted broadcast from the penthouse of his luxury high-rise, and within 90 seconds, more than 600,000 people were logged on and watching. Behind him, an entire wall of monitors glowed in the dark. He poured himself a glass of high-end champagne. He stared into the camera. And that icy, predatory grin he only wears when he is about to cost somebody millions of dollars slid across his face like a knife. He told his audience that the biggest boss was down bad. He told them what was about to hit their screens would make every previous leak in his career look like child's play. He told them Rick Ross had flown out to Vegas on a commercial flight, walked into Floyd's suite, and begged the champ for 200,000 album units so his distributor would not drop him. Then he tapped the remote. The footage rolled, and the internet lost its collective mind. The video was jaw-dropping. Rick Ross, sitting across from Floyd Mayweather in an ultra-luxury Vegas VIP room, was visibly sweating through his shirt. He was pacing. He was gesturing wildly. His voice, captured in razor-clear high-definition audio, was pleading, cracking, buckling. He explained on tape that his first-week numbers were tracking toward a total commercial disaster. He said if he charted under 10,000 units, his corporate brand deals were going to yank the emergency exit. He begged Floyd to route the purchase through the Money Team marketing fund as promotional expenses tied to an upcoming exhibition fight. He begged him peer-to-peer to save the rollout so Curtis Jackson would not get online the next morning and turn him into a meme. Floyd Mayweather sat back on the sofa in absolute silence. He shook his head. He adjusted his chain. His face was somewhere between discomfort and pity. And when Floyd finally spoke, he delivered the sentence that has already been clipped, GIF-ed, and turned into a ringtone across the internet. He said, flat and cold, that as a businessman he does not buy music that does not sell. He said he invests in assets that make money. He said he does not underwrite charity projects. And with that, the champ closed the door on the biggest boss in the game. The footage showed Rick Ross bury his face in his hands. Absolute defeat. 50 Cent paused the video. He let out a thunderous, unhinged laugh that shook the room. He taunted Rick Ross for begging for spare change in hotel suites. He promised part 2 would be even worse. And then the stream cut out and the internet went into full seizure. But that was only round 1. Because within 30 minutes of 50 Cent's broadcast ending, a second explosion detonated on the other coast. Cameras outside an upscale Miami recording studio caught members of Rick Ross's security team violently confronting an independent videographer, smashing lenses, breaking equipment, and screaming at a bystander who allegedly had connections to the security contractor who sold the surveillance file. This was no longer just a digital humiliation. This was a full-scale paranoid witch hunt inside the MMG inner circle, a real-world confrontation on Miami pavement, and undeniable proof that Rick Ross's most private business operations had been compromised at the deepest level. Zoom the lens out for a second, because this is where it gets truly disorienting. Within hours of the leak, hashtags like Rick Ross begging Floyd, 50 leaked the tape, and Mayweather closed the door ripped across X, TikTok, and YouTube with a velocity that pushed the story past 80 million impressions before sunrise. Every hip-hop reaction channel, every sports podcast, every celebrity gossip aggregator dropped emergency episodes analyzing every micro-expression, every hand tremor, every syllable of desperation captured on that hotel tape. The Breakfast Club broke out a special segment. National sports debate shows dedicated entire hours to it. Music attorneys went on air to argue that this was corporate espionage of the highest order. Financial analysts argued that this was the death of a brand. At 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rick Ross tried to save himself. He launched an emergency Instagram live from the passenger seat of an armored SUV, eyes bloodshot, voice shaking with pure rage. He screamed into the phone that the video was completely manipulated. He claimed Curtis Jackson had paid hackers to splice footage from a private real estate pitch and overlay fake audio. He swore he and Floyd Mayweather had actually been discussing a $50 million luxury hotel acquisition in Dubai. He swore he had never begged another man for $1 in his entire life. He called 50 Cent an obsessed, bitter sociopath who spent all his time watching other men because his own television slate was collapsing. But it did not work. Because the second the internet zoomed in on the footage, the audio waveforms matched the lip movement to the millisecond. The date stamps on the room's television monitors matched, to the day, the week of Rick Ross's disastrous album rollout. Independent forensic accounts on X ran the video through waveform analyzers and confirmed no manipulation. The internet had already convicted William Roberts, and there was no appeal. Call it what it is. What happened next elevated this whole story into a full-blown multi-million-dollar corporate crisis. At 6 in the morning, a prominent Las Vegas hospitality insider published a confidential incident report from inside the resort. Floyd Mayweather's private security had logged the encounter as an unauthorized solicitation incident after Rick Ross allegedly refused to leave the suite until Floyd agreed to consider the emergency music bailout. The room's surveillance logs had been quietly handed to corporate auditors reviewing unauthorized third-party investment activity across Money Team subsidiaries. In other words, Floyd's own people had documented it. Floyd's own people had reported it. And Floyd's own paperwork was now sitting in the hands of institutional auditors. 50 Cent, being 50 Cent, immediately capitalized. He posted a satirical meme of Rick Ross standing on a Vegas street corner holding a cardboard sign reading, "Will rap for album sales, Cash App Floyd Mayweather." He added a caption saying security had to peel the boss out of the suite because he was holding onto the doorframe begging for streams. And the meme, within an hour, hit every group chat on the continent. Here is where the culture split. Within a single morning news cycle, more than 100 million impressions had blitzed the global platforms, and the entire hip-hop internet had fractured into two ferocious camps. On one side, the reaction channels, meme hubs, and rap enthusiasts declared this the fatal blow to Rick Ross's career. 20 years of untouchable mogul theater erased by 6 minutes of grainy VIP suite footage. They said Rick Ross could never again rap about private jets, cartel wealth, or street invincibility without the entire internet posting the Money Team said no clip in the replies. They called it the coldest visual takedown in rap history. They compared Floyd's flat rejection to a 12th round knockout thrown in the middle of the ring. On the other side, MMG loyalists, Southern hip-hop purists, and independent artist advocates pushed back hard. They argued that bulk buy promotional deals are a wide-open secret across both pop and urban music. They argued Rick Ross was navigating a broken streaming economy that routinely shortchanges legacy artists. They accused 50 Cent and the Vegas hotel security staff of weaponizing private, closed-door corporate negotiations. They called the distribution of hotel surveillance footage cowardly, unethical corporate espionage that could ripple across every hospitality contract in the country. And they warned that if a hotel suite is not private, nothing is. The controversy blew past social media within minutes. It dominated The Breakfast Club, sports talk, national radio, and every major streaming debate show. Music attorneys warned on air that major corporate sponsors, international festival organizers, and beverage distribution partners were already re-reviewing every endorsement contract linked to Maybach Music Group, terrified of the toxic viral fallout. Memes of Floyd Mayweather as an unimpressed record executive rejecting Rick Ross swept TikTok and Instagram, racking up hundreds of millions of views before lunch. And 50 Cent, of course, kept his boot on the throat. He changed his profile picture to a corporate badge labeling himself Executive Director, MMG Career Services. He announced a fake hotline number. He posted a fake press release. He never stopped. He never blinked. And just when the world thought this could not possibly get more volatile, the final mind-bending twist landed straight from a private airfield in Las Vegas. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern, an emergency legal dispatch confirmed that Floyd Mayweather's lead corporate litigation team had filed a multi-million-dollar cease and desist and federal preservation demand against Curtis Jackson. The paperwork claimed the hotel security footage had been illegally intercepted from a private encrypted cloud server. It alleged corporate espionage. It alleged wiretap violations. It alleged unlawful commercial sabotage. And it demanded an immediate federal injunction to pull down every frame of the tape, backed by a $50 million civil action. 50 Cent's response arrived at 9:45 a.m. Eastern, and it was pure kerosene. He posted a high-resolution preview of an encrypted digital file labeled Mayweather_Ross_unedited_full_hour_Vegas.mov. Under it, he attached a live 24-hour digital countdown timer. And under that, he wrote the sentence that has already been screenshotted more than 1 million times. Go ahead and file that lawsuit, Floyd. File it today. The second that federal paperwork is locked, I'm releasing the full 60-minute unedited tape where Ross confesses to faking his car collection, crying about his bank debts, and where you admit to financing his whole lifestyle for tax write-offs. Try me, champ. Let's see who goes broke first. The entire culture is now sitting on the edge of a cliff. If Floyd Mayweather proceeds with the federal lawsuit, 50 Cent has openly promised to release the full 60-minute unedited master tape and expose the deepest financial secrets of both empires simultaneously. If Floyd blinks, if Floyd pulls back, if Floyd suddenly announces a misunderstanding, the entire internet will know why. The countdown is running. The pressure is at boiling point. And the next 24 hours will either bury 50 Cent under a $50 million federal hammer or bury Rick Ross under a full-hour master reel that could dismantle the mythology of two entire empires. Now here is the piece of the puzzle nobody is talking about yet. Sources close to the money team have started leaking that Floyd Mayweather's board of advisors are already begging him to withdraw the lawsuit. Corporate auditors reportedly warned that a public federal filing would trigger discovery requests that could unlock private money team financial records, including the alleged tax write-off structures 50 Cent is threatening to expose. If the lawsuit proceeds, Floyd's own paperwork could become weaponized against him in open court. If the lawsuit stalls, Rick Ross is left standing alone in the rubble with nothing but a shattered brand and a ring of vultures circling the corpse of Maybach Music Group. Rick Ross, meanwhile, has gone completely dark. His last public communication was that 3:30 a.m. Instagram live meltdown. His social media has been scrubbed. His scheduled radio appearances have been quietly canceled. His management team has stopped answering calls. Sources inside MMG say Rick Ross has retreated to a private compound outside Fayetteville, Georgia, and is refusing to speak to anyone outside of his lawyer and his mother. Executives inside the label are reportedly preparing exit packages. Featured artists are quietly deleting collaboration photos. Producers are pulling beats off pending projects. And every single one of them is watching that countdown timer tick down like the last minute of a heavyweight championship round. Zoom out again, because this story is bigger than one leaked tape. This is about the last remaining illusion of hip-hop luxury culture. For 20 years, artists have sold audiences a picture of untouchable wealth. Cars they did not own. Mansions they did not own. Bank accounts they did not have. Chains that were leased for a music video and returned by nightfall. Rick Ross was not the only man selling that illusion. He was the loudest. He was the most theatrical. He was the biggest boss. And now the biggest boss has been captured on 4K video, in high-definition audio, in real time, begging another millionaire to bail him out. That is not a scandal. That is the death of an entire aesthetic. And that is the truth of it. 50 Cent has been screaming about it for 15 years. He has been telling anyone who would listen that Rick Ross was a costume, that the yacht was rented, that the jet was chartered, that the mansion was staged. Everybody laughed him off. Everybody told him he was obsessed. Everybody told him he was bitter. And then, in a single Vegas hotel suite, on a random Tuesday, Rick Ross walked directly into the exact frame Curtis Jackson had been sketching for a decade and a half, and 50 Cent had the cameras rolling the whole time. Empire-level money does not save you from an empire-level ego. And Rick Ross's ego just wrote the biggest check of his life to the one man on the planet who would frame it, timestamp it, and beam it to 60 million phones before breakfast. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather is trapped in his own psychological corner. On one hand, if he does not file the lawsuit, the internet will read his silence as confirmation of the tape's authenticity. On the other hand, if he does file the lawsuit, 50 Cent's countdown timer hits 0 and the full 60-minute reel drops, potentially exposing details of Floyd's own investment practices, tax structures, and private business dealings that even Floyd's lawyers have not fully briefed him on. Floyd's inner circle is reportedly split down the middle. His litigation team is pushing to file. His financial team is begging him to walk away. And Floyd himself, according to two separate Vegas insiders, has been eerily quiet since the leak dropped, refusing interviews, refusing statements, refusing to even acknowledge the story publicly. That silence is the most dangerous sound in hip-hop right now. Because 50 Cent is not a man who bluffs. When he told Ja Rule he would end his career, he ended it. When he told his old labels he would leverage them into oblivion, he did. When he told his television critics he would build an empire on cable, he did that too. And when he tells Floyd Mayweather that he is holding a 60-minute unedited master tape with his finger on the trigger, the entire industry has to assume he means every word. Curtis Jackson has never once, in 25 years of public warfare, been caught bluffing with a hand this loud. And here is the wildest part. Sources inside 50 Cent's inner circle are now suggesting that the Vegas hotel footage may not even be the biggest weapon in the arsenal. According to a leaked whisper from a producer connected to the G-Unit camp, there is allegedly a second file. A file labeled with a code name so sensitive that even 50 Cent's closest lieutenants have not opened it. A file that reportedly contains material so damaging to a third, unnamed celebrity that 50 Cent has been holding it in reserve for years, waiting for the right chessboard configuration. And if Floyd Mayweather truly proceeds with the federal lawsuit, the ripple effect could trigger a full domino release that puts a third icon of the industry directly into the crosshairs. That is not a rumor. That is a warning shot fired across the bow of an entire generation of celebrity brands built on smoke and mirrors. Strip the noise away, and here is what this really is. This is the biggest, ugliest, most public autopsy of a hip-hop mogul brand in the modern era. This is 50 Cent proving, once again, that in the war between mythology and receipts always win. This is Floyd Mayweather trapped in a corporate corner of his own making. This is Rick Ross watching 20 years of Biggest Boss theater collapse in the length of a single champagne pour. And this is a countdown timer on a public server that could, in the next 24 hours, force the release of a full-hour tape that would rewrite the financial mythology of two of the most powerful men in urban entertainment. You have to understand the psychology at play here. 50 Cent does not just want to win. He wants the victory documented, notarized, and eternal. He wants Rick Ross's grandchildren to grow up knowing exactly what their grandfather did in that Vegas suite. He wants Floyd Mayweather's own lawyers to hand-deliver the accelerant to the fire. And he wants the entire hip-hop industry to remember, for the next 50 years, that when you go to war with Curtis Jackson, you do not lose in a diss track. You lose in a courtroom, on a security tape, in front of a laughing internet, with your career reduced to a meme. Rick Ross is watching everything he built for 2 decades slide off the table in real time. Floyd Mayweather is watching a decade of quiet private investment leverage suddenly turn into a public liability. And 50 Cent is doing what 50 Cent has always done best. He is sitting in a penthouse, sipping champagne and letting the countdown clock do the killing for him. And that is why the next 24 hours are going to be historic. Because either Floyd Mayweather blinks and swallows the tape in silence, allowing Rick Ross to hang alone in the wind, or Floyd Mayweather files, the countdown hits 0, and 50 Cent releases a 60-minute reel that could dismantle 3 empires simultaneously. Either way, somebody's career ends this week. Either way, somebody's brand never recovers. Either way, the balance of power in hip-hop, in Vegas, in celebrity boxing, in urban corporate investment, shifts violently before this weekend closes. This is not a beef anymore. This is a hostage negotiation. And 50 Cent is holding the ransom. Now hear this, because this next detail is going to break the internet all over again. Whispers coming out of a private Miami legal office suggest that Rick Ross's team is now, quietly, off the record, exploring a settlement offer to 50 Cent directly. Yes, a settlement. Yes, from Rick Ross to Curtis Jackson. Yes, involving money. Multiple mid-level Vegas insiders claim MMG's legal team floated a private buyout offer in the mid-7 figures for 50 Cent to publicly retract the leak, delete the countdown timer, and destroy any remaining copies of the surveillance file. 50 Cent's response, according to those same insiders, was 3 words. Not for sale. He allegedly followed it up with a laughing emoji and a screenshot of the still-ticking countdown clock. The message was clear. This is not about money. This is about legacy. And no check on earth is going to close this loop. The stakes are now unimaginable. If 50 Cent releases the 60-minute reel, he risks a $50 million federal lawsuit that could tie him up in litigation for years. If he does not release it, he loses the biggest cultural leverage moment of his entire career. If Floyd Mayweather files, he opens his own books to discovery. If he does not file, he confirms the tape's authenticity by silence. If Rick Ross keeps hiding, his brand dies from oxygen starvation. If he emerges, the internet will crucify him on sight. Every single move on this chessboard is a losing move. And 50 Cent is the only player who benefits from every square. That is not just strategy. That is the coldest game of celebrity warfare ever waged in public. And the culture is drinking every drop of it. Fan channels are live streaming the countdown timer in real time. Bookmakers in Vegas have opened unofficial odds on whether Floyd will file. Streaming platforms are seeing Rick Ross's back catalog get pulled from mood playlists at record speed. Nightclubs from Atlanta to Los Angeles are quietly instructing DJs to skip MMG tracks. Brand executives are reviewing morality clauses. And a shadow list of celebrities allegedly featured on the alleged secondary reel is already circulating in encrypted DMs across 3 continents. This is not a scandal. This is a cultural inflection point. And it began, remember, with a man walking into a Vegas VIP suite thinking the cameras were off. The cameras were never off. The cameras have never, ever been off. And 50 Cent, more than any other public figure alive, understands that the only currency more powerful than money in modern celebrity culture is footage. Zoom the lens out one more time and think about what this means for every other artist walking around with a lease chain and a rented car. Every rapper who has ever exaggerated their bank account is quietly checking their phone tonight. Every mogul who has ever staged a photo in a jet they did not own is checking their calendar. Every executive who has ever bulk bought a chart position is calling their lawyer. Because if 50 Cent can pull the veil off Rick Ross this cleanly, this publicly, this permanently, then nobody in this industry is untouchable ever again. The Vegas hotel surveillance corridor just became the most dangerous piece of real estate in celebrity culture. And Curtis Jackson just proved he owns the key. So here is where we stand as this video hits your feed. The countdown timer is still running. Floyd Mayweather has not made a public statement in over 11 hours. Rick Ross has gone completely off-grid. 50 Cent is refreshing his own social feeds every 3 minutes, taunting, mocking, memeing, waiting. And a 60-minute unedited master tape sits on an encrypted server with the entire cultural fate of 2 hip-hop empires attached to it. The industry has never seen anything like this. Not the Jay-Z and Nas era. Not the Kanye and Drake eruptions. Not even the Diddy revelations. This is a real-time, publicly televised, high-definition annihilation of a brand, with a federal lawsuit as the ignition switch and a countdown clock as the fuse. Whatever happens in the next 24 hours will be studied in music business classes for the next 30 years. And that is why you need to sit with this. Because whichever way the coin lands, the message is now permanent. In 2026, in the age of surveillance, in the age of encrypted leaks, in the age of 4K everything, the myth of the untouchable mogul is dead. And 50 Cent just held the funeral live on his own broadcast. So now hand the microphone back to you, because this community is the sharpest, most engaged room on the platform, and I want your unfiltered read on this entire operation. Did 50 Cent just deliver the ultimate cultural checkmate by leaking that Vegas surveillance footage? Or did he cross an unwritten ethical line by exposing a confidential business meeting inside a private hotel suite? Do you believe the tape is 100% authentic, or do you think Rick Ross has a real argument about digital manipulation and deepfake overlay? What do you think Floyd Mayweather does in the next 24 hours, and if that countdown timer actually hits 0, whose empire collapses first? Drop your wildest predictions, your legal theories, your unfiltered reactions in the comments right now, because I am going to be down there all day reading every take and replying to the sharpest breakdowns. If your mind was completely blown by this emergency deep dive, hit that like button immediately, because it tells the algorithm to push this investigation to hip-hop heads, boxing fans, and celebrity culture obsessives all around the world. And if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on right now, because we are tracking this standoff live across Las Vegas and Miami, and the exact second Floyd's lawyers officially file that suit. Or the exact second 50 Cent's countdown timer hits 0 and that 60-minute tape drops, we are dropping an emergency follow-up video you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Thank you for watching, stay welded to the story, and I will see you in the next one.